Be sure to like this video by clicking the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel.
Hi guys, welcome back for another episode of our podcast. As I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we will have different guests on our show talking about different child support situations. And that today is going to include a former child support attorney. I want you all to hear from them. Of course, they're not your lawyer. They're not representing you. This is not legal advice, just legal information about different situations under Texas law as it relates to child support cases. So make sure that you not only like this video, you have subscribed to our channel, and make sure you share with everybody, all right? Let's get into it. Thank you for being here.
Hey girl, happy to be here, and I'm just gonna throw it out there. I must really like you if I actually got out of bed on a Saturday morning and brushed my hair and drove an hour. So, it's my girl.
Well, thank you for being here. Kim and I have worked together for a number of years in the past. Well, neither one of us practice law anymore, but when we did practice law, we had fun, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, Kim, go ahead and tell everybody about yourself.
Okay, well, I have been licensed to practice law since 2014. My specific practice area was immigration and family law. And with family law, I took on a lot of child support cases where I mostly represented dads in paternity actions and also in child support modifications. I am not in private practice anymore. I am retired. So.
I like how you put that in air quotes.
Retired.
Retired.
Because here I am.
So you mentioned something in your brief introduction about paternity actions.
Yes.
And our last interview that we did talked about a situation where a dad was still ordered to pay child support, although it was determined he was not the father of the child. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, because, okay, it's going to really depend on the circumstances, right? Because in Texas and also in some other states, there is a statute of limitations. There's a limit of time that you have to bring up a contest of paternity. So let's say you have a kid that you've taken care of since the child was born. You thought it was your kid. And then the child's 8 years old, and all of a sudden your baby mama hits you with, this ain't even your kid. That's not your baby. And you want to go to court because you say, hey, well, I've been paying child support all this time. I want my money back, and I want the child support to stop. So in Texas, you can't wait till the child is 8 years old.
Right.
You can't wait till the child is 10 years old. There's a statute of limitations. In Texas, you have to do it by the time the child turns 4.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that was heartbreaking for a lot of the people that you represented, right?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, emotionally and also for your pocketbook, because I know I'd be pissed if I had to pay child support for a child that was not mine.
Right.
So it's important to go ahead, and even if you're absolutely 100% that is your son or that is your daughter, go ahead and get that paternity test done while the state might pay for it.
Okay, all right. That's a good gem you just dropped there at the end. So let's talk about your experience with child support cases in particular. What have been some of the common reasons that people have walked into your office for a consultation and said, I need to receive child support, or I need to put this person on child support, or I need to modify a child support order? What are some of the common reasons?
Well, the first, most common reason is divorce. When a couple is splitting up, one person wants child support, and then the other person most of the time doesn't want child support. They want a 50-50 possession schedule because they think that that's going to keep them from having to pay support to the other parent.
How does that work? real quick, tell people how that works.
Okay, so a 50-50 possession schedule, normally one parent is the possessory parent or the parent that has visitation. So that parent would normally get a first, third, and fifth weekend of the month, and then they get the child on every Thursday from 6 to 8 or Thursday overnight, right? And then they would pay child support in that case because they have the child for less time than the primary parent, okay? A 50-50 possession schedule is where you have the child for 1 week and then the other parent has a child for 1 week, or you alternate days where you have one parent has a child for 2 days and then the other parent has a child for 2 days, and then they alternate weekends. And a lot of parents think that that means I don't have to pay child support because we have the child equal time. But contrary to that belief, if one parent makes significantly more money than the other parent, say we have an NFL player who's making millions who got a groupie knocked up who makes $25,000 a year, 50-50 or not, that NFL player is about to come out some money.
All right. Now, you mentioned something else when you were talking. You talked about parents believing that this 50-50 arrangement means no one has to pay child support. Now, I know you didn't write the Texas Family Law Code or anything like that, but what reason do you believe that child support is still ordered when one parent makes significantly more than the other parent?
Okay, right, because we don't want that child to miss out on the same type of lifestyle that he would get with that parent that earns significantly more. Okay, so that parent that earns 6 figures or earns 7 figures is going to have a pool. You know, they're going to have probably a theater in their home. They're gonna have a more luxurious lifestyle. We don't want a child to have a less comfortable lifestyle with one parent than they would with the other. So the whole point of ordering that child support is to equalize it.
Okay, all right. Provide some balance to it.
Right.
Okay, so you mentioned about the divorce when parents split. We know this because we're law practitioners, right?
Right.
However, there are a lot of people that do not know that while a divorce is pending, the two people are still married, that child support can be ordered.
Wait, people don't know that?
People do not know that.
Okay then, yes, your child support still can be ordered at temporary orders. So like in the interim, while the divorce is pending and if the parents are living apart, then in that case, yes, child support can be ordered. But if the parents are still living together, which is weird, but you know, I'm not judging, you do what you do, but sometimes that happens. Parents are in the same household. It is rare, if almost never happens, that one parent orders the other parent to pay support.
All right. Can a judge order someone to still pay support although the two parents are living together?
You know, I have seen it happen once. And it was because we had, or actually more than once, if I really think about it, when we had one parent who decided that they weren't going to contribute anything to the household at all, like not help pay the mortgage. They weren't paying any bills. They were just basically sitting there and being a warm body. So yes, the court can order that, but again, it's kind of rare.
Okay, all right. Now, this is an interesting part, and I know you are going to have fun with this one because you and I have talked about it on numerous occasions. Who pays child support? There is a misconception that the only people that are ordered to pay child support and or pay child support in huge amounts are men. How true is that?
That's not true at all. I have mostly represented men, and I have been successful in getting men custody of their children because, believe it or not, men can parent just as well and sometimes better than the moms can. And sometimes the children's preference is that they stay with their dad, with the other parent. So in that case, the mom can be ordered to pay child support for the child. And nothing gets a mother more heated, in my experience, than having to have her wages garnished for child support or having to write that check every 2 weeks.
Have you ever had a mother, because I know this has happened to me personally, where the mother was fuming at me, visibly upset, you know, it's not fair, or are you a mother? How would you feel if, you know, your son's father put you on child support or something like that? Have you ever had someone like verbally attack you like that?
I have had a mom tell me she would rather go to jail than give him a dime. And I'm
Really?
like, well, if you don't give him a dime, then that's where you're going, boo-boo. She's like, I'll sit in jail for the weekend. No, depending on the judge, you're going to sit in jail for longer than a weekend.
That is true.
So, yeah, I've had moms quit their job because they didn't want to pay child support because they thought that would get it lowered or get it eliminated altogether. And I've even had mothers tell me, I just terminate my parental rights. I'll
Wait,
sign.
wait.
Yes, ma'am.
You've had a mother or
Yes.
mothers
Yes.
tell you they would want to terminate their parental rights to avoid paying child support to dad?
Yes. And so, which made me turn around and say, first of all, we're not doing that. And second, even if we did do that, the judge can order post-termination child support.
What in the world is post-termination child support?
Listen, it's the best thing ever.
Tell me about it, because I have seen it happen once on another case when I was watching one in court, but I have never had a case where that happened. So tell us all about it.
So in a particular case, without revealing any identifying information,
Of course.
there was a mother who said, you know what, I want to relinquish my parental rights. I will sign whatever I need to sign. He can go with his dad. I don't care. I've done everything for him. I've sacrificed everything. These stretch marks, my body, she went on these tangents. We argued about it. I was like, you're basically sending a message to your child that, one, you don't want to support him, and two, you don't want him. Don't do that. That is not in your child's best interest. But she leaned on me about it, and I drew up the papers. And in that case, the court said, okay, fine. You can relinquish your rights. You won't have a say in where the child goes to school. You won't have a say in medical decisions. All of that will go to dad, okay? But because I believe you're doing this to avoid paying periodic child support, I'm still gonna order it. I'm still gonna order it even though you don't have any of these rights, because it's not that you don't have the ability to take care of your child. You just don't want to write the check to the other parent to support your child. So yeah, I'm gonna respect your decision not to have any decision-making authority in your child's life, but you still gotta pay.
Wow, that is really interesting. And thank you for saying that, because to a lot of my followers, I read comments. That's what I do on my channel. I try to be engaging as I can with a lot of my followers. So I just want you all to know, you heard it here from an actual practicing attorney former practicing attorney in Texas. You can still be ordered to pay child support even after relinquishing your parental rights. So thank you for sharing that information with us. Now, child support and health insurance. Child support and health insurance. We know that when you apply for services through the Texas Attorney General's office, you can be ordered to pay child support, and if health insurance is covered privately, no interference or whatever from the Texas Attorney General's office. But health insurance through Medicaid.
Okay, so health insurance through Medicaid, you're messing with the government money and tax dollars. So if your kid gets Medicaid, you got to pay that money back.
I want you to make sure you say that last part again, because in having discussions with a lot of my followers, a lot of them, especially the ones that are outside of the state of Texas, they are under the belief that it is the government's job to cover Medicaid. And a lot of people believe that Medicaid is health insurance. Although I've, repeatedly try to educate and say, hey, this is a government assistance.
That's correct.
The goal is to assist you and get you off of it, but you're saying it has to be paid back. And that's the same thing that I've said. So is it indeed a fact that Medicaid has to be paid back to the state?
That is correct. The way that works is, what the court will do is they will enter a medical support order, in which case, whether it be $50, $75, $100 a month, in addition to your periodic child support, that medical support order is to reimburse the state for any costs that they have fronted to cover your child.
Okay, now, I've seen situations where the dad is livid because he's saying, I give her this, I give her that in child support, I pick up my child, she still put me on child support. And mom in turn said, I didn't put you on child support. The state did it. All I did was apply for food stamps, or all I did was apply for housing. How does that work exactly?
Okay, so when mom applies for food stamps, or when mom applies for Medicaid or cash medical support, like whatever the case may be, the state looks at that as the state supporting your child financially. So what they're going to do is they're going to turn around and say, okay, well, no. Who's the daddy? Okay, or in the case where it's the dad who has applied for those benefits, where's the mom? What is mom doing? And in that case, they do their investigation. They seek out the other parent, and they want their money back. They want you to actually support your own child. So you have to make those financial contributions. You have to pay that money back to the state.
Now, if in that same scenario, if the other parent has access to private health insurance, what would happen with that contribution that they were paying back to the state?
Well, okay, so in that case, the first question is, if that parent has access to private insurance, the question is, why isn't the child enrolled in it? Okay, so the parent would be given the opportunity to enroll that child in their private insurance, and if that's the case, then you don't have to pay the state back anymore, because you are taking on the financial responsibility of making sure that your child has food, you're making sure that your child has health care coverage and prescription coverage and all the things that you're supposed to do as a parent.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. Now, this is a big one that a lot of people fail to realize when they come to court and you're placed on that child support order. Mm-hmm. There's an obligation to make sure that you pay health insurance, you pay child support as court ordered. Mm-hmm. What happens when one or both of those things do not happen on time or as it's supposed to?
Oh, you can go to jail.
How can you go to jail?
Okay, so what happens is this. One, a parent can hire an attorney and say, hey, I am not getting my child support, or I'm not getting my reimbursement for medical expenses, for the prescriptions and things like that. Or I'm just not getting the financial help that I'm supposed to be getting as ordered by the court. So in that case, that attorney would file what's called a motion to enforce child support. Okay, and in that motion, there are several forms of relief that we can ask the court to give us. And one is we can ask for jail time. Like, he's not paying his child support or she's not paying child support, put her in jail.
With the jail time, what does the law state about how long a person can be in jail per violation? Because it goes by violation, right?
Right. And by violation, a violation is a mispayment. So for every child support mispayment or medical support mispayment, you can get up to 180 days in jail.
Per violation.
Per violation.
Per violation, guys. Let me make sure I understand this. You're court ordered to pay child support and health insurance by the 1st of every month.
Correct.
You don't pay it until the 21st, or it doesn't come out of your check till the 21st. Would that be considered a violation?
Not necessarily.
All right.
Okay.
Explain that.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a violation because sometimes people get paid like on the 1st and the 15th. So as long as the child support payment is made or satisfied, so to speak, by the end of the month, then you're good. However, if you miss an entire month, say your child support payment is due October the 1st, and you don't make that October 1st payment, right? You don't make any payment, say, till December 1st, but you haven't made the payments for October and November. The October and November missed payments are violations, and if an enforcement is filed, then you're at risk of being put in jail for missed child support payments. But jail time is not the only consequence that you can get for not meeting your financial responsibility.
That was my next question. Mm-hmm. Jail time is one of the certain reliefs that you can ask the court for. Mm-hmm. What are some other alternatives?
Well, okay, so, and in my experience, the court doesn't always go straight to throwing you in jail, right?
Because they want to make sure you can pay the money. And I mean, there are so many implications with placing someone in jail, right? Mm-hmm. It not only puts puts extra work on the bailiff that's in there because, you know, they have to get processed through the jail. But the person that's going to jail, they miss time off from work. They're going to miss time away from the kids, so that I can understand.
Which means if you're missing time from work, that means you still aren't paying child support. So there are other remedies that are available. So if you have a professional license, that can be taken from you. If you do hair.
Wait a minute. You can't just breeze past that word like it's nothing. You said professional license. You and I both have professional licenses. We are attorneys, right?
That's correct.
So if an attorney does not pay child support, they can get their license suspended?
They can get their license suspended. That is correct. And then they can also get sanctioned by the bar. So there's that.
So what other types of professional licenses are you talking about? Because we have tons of different viewers who watch these.
Your teaching certificate, your cosmetology license, like whether that's you doing hair, whether you do nails, whether you do eyelashes, eyebrows, like whatever that license may be, your barber license. Your truck driving, your CDL, and that's another thing. Your driver's license can be suspended as well.
Oh, wow.
Your passport can get taken from you. If you like to, you know, catch a flight, you catch flights, not feelings. You can get your passport taken, and you can't go anywhere and the theory behind that is the school of thought behind it is why should you go to Cancun and enjoy yourself if your child is over here eating malto meal and great value pork sausage for breakfast every morning.
Oh, wow. You know, you made an interesting point when you were talking about the different licensing. So hunting season is getting ready to come up. My husband, my dad, pretty much all the guys in my family, they love to go deer hunting. What about a hunting license?
Pay your child support so you can keep it.
It can get suspended too?
Everything.
Oh, wow. So a boating license, pretty much any professional license, including a driver's license, can be suspended.
Correct.
Oh, wow. Yes, a lot of implications for not paying child support, and this is beyond jail.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Are there any other remedies outside of suspending a professional license and, you know, going to jail?
Well, so the Texas Family Code provides that if you are found to be in contempt of not just a child support order, but also a possession and access order, that the offending party is mandatory that the offending party reimburse for attorney's fees.
Wow.
And then there's also fines that you would have to pay per violation. So there are so many implications.
So is that the money part is the civil side of the contempt?
Okay, so the money part is the civil side of the contempt. And the criminal portion of it is going to be the jail time.
Got it. Wow. If any of you out there are ordered to pay child support, please pay your child support. Now, this is really common too that I see in the comments. Someone on my TikTok wrote, why do I even need to have a child support order if the court is not going to enforce it?
Well, and my reaction to that every time someone says that to me is, the court will enforce it if you bring it to the court's attention.
Now, how do you bring it to the court's attention again? Remind everybody how they actually do that, because I don't want people to think that someone doesn't pay child support and then miraculously the court just picks up the phone and calls them and says, hey, they haven't paid. Come to court and let's hold them in contempt. How do you actually put it on the court's radar that someone is not paying their child support or their medical support?
Okay, so there's actually two ways. The first way in Texas is you can call the Office of the Attorney General and you can notify them. There's also a way to file a case online too, because we live in the age where we can do everything online. So that's the first way. Although admittedly, the state of Texas is a little bit slower about enforcing orders. It's not that they won't do it. It's just that it may take a little bit longer because everybody is coming to the Office of the Attorney General in Texas because it's free. The other way is to hire a private attorney, pay the attorney the fee, and what they would do is they file a motion to enforce. And an attorney actually has direct access to the court. Quick access to the court, because once they file that motion, once they get an order for that person to appear in court, in the show cause order, they can contact the court coordinator who is in charge of this judge's schedule and immediately get you on the calendar and get you a court date.
All right. Now let's talk about getting someone served. Those are always fun, right? Having to locate somebody to get them to appear. Can a court, so when someone is ordered to appear, right? What if you cannot find them? Like you absolutely cannot find them. Is there a way to do an alternative service on an enforcement?
So it depends, okay? Because if you are seeking criminal contempt, you're trying to put that person in jail, then you won't be able to do an alternate service. You're going to have to serve them in person. You're going to have to get a private process server, a private investigator, whatever you need to do to hunt that person down and serve them in person. Like physically hand it to them or drop it at their feet or throw it at their car, like if they're trying to speed off, like whatever the case may be. So contempt actions with child support and possession and access are quasi-criminal. So since someone's liberty is at stake, if you're seeking criminal contempt, you have to serve them in person.
Got it.
However, if all you want is your money and you just want the judgment, you don't care how you get it, in that case, you can do substitute service. So, but before you can do substitute service, you have to actually make diligent attempts to personally serve them.
And by diligent attempts, what do we have now to make sure that it's satisfied? You know, you have where you, like you say, you send the processor out. Can you make diligent attempts on social media now?
Yes, you can. You can make diligent attempts on Facebook. You can make it on Instagram. And pretty much, because almost everybody has some type of social media footprint. And I've been successful in having someone served through Facebook, through Facebook Messenger, through Instagram, through their DMs. But it's important to note that you, parent who's owed the money, are not allowed to do that. You can't do it yourself. You actually have to have the process server do that.
And that is a great point that you said that, because a lot of people have messed up service in that way. And a lot of times the people appear. They will appear and they'll say, he gave it to me directly or she gave it to me directly. And although they're present in the courtroom, the court cannot proceed with the faulty service.
Exactly.
Right.
So in that case, if I'm an attorney who represents that person, I know that's happened, I'm going to have my process server waiting with the actual document again to attempt it again.
While they're present in court.
While they're present, or I'm going to catch them right outside of the courthouse, have them tackle them, do whatever needs to be done.
All right. You mentioned something about judgment. When they're not seeking child support, when they're not seeking jail time and they just want the judgment. Explain what you mean by the judgment.
Judgment is just a piece of paper. I can't go shopping with it, okay? But what the judgment does is it says, okay, this is the amount of money that this person owes. So let's say it's $30,000. Someone has $30,000 in an arrearage. So that $30,000 is memorialized on a court order signed by the judge. You can then take that order and send it to that person's current employer to try to recoup your money.
Got it.
Okay. But again, if that person's not working, or they refuse to work, or they're self-employed and you don't have any wages to attach, it's just a piece of paper.
All right. Now, what can you do with a judgment in terms of attachment? Can you attach it to different things? People need to know this. All of these assets that people are in control of, and they have judgments out there. What can a judgment do once it's attached to something?
It can be a lien. It's so great.
Talk about that. What is a lien?
So a lien, and I don't know exactly how to describe it, except I've had liens before where someone has had several rental properties. As long as it's not the person's homestead, like the place where the person is actually residing and living, they have several rental properties. I'm going to put a lien on that rental property. So say that house is worth $250,000. When that person goes to sell that house, then my money from the sale of that home is going to come out of the net proceeds of it.
Okay. All right. Now, how would you do that though? Like, where would you file the judgment? Is it, I know it's just a piece of paper, but do you put it somewhere so people will have notice that you have a lien on this piece of property? Like, what would you actually do with it?
Okay, so you're going to take your judgment, you're going to take your abstract judgment, you're going to file it within the county, okay? And that is what puts everybody on notice that you have a claim to that property.
Oh, wow. So when this house is getting ready to be sold, that lien is going to be visible.
Yes.
Okay. And that's how they get the money.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. You are really putting everybody on game today. You're dropping so many legal gems. And I know for a fact it is appreciated. A ton of my followers follow me. You know, they're right here in the state of Texas. They're probably dealing with some of the things that you've already talked about. Mm-hmm. They are probably going through some of the things that you have discussed. So I know for a fact it is greatly appreciated. Now I have to ask you, how long have you practiced law in general?
8 years.
8 years, and you practice family law where you had child support cases, and you've seen a lot. Now, I want you to tell everyone the 5 takeaways, if you can narrow it down to 5. Because for me, if you ask me to narrow it down to 5, it would probably take me a week or 2 or a month to actually do it, because we see so much, right? So I want you to give people the 5 takeaways that you think are just at the crux of any child support situation, going to court, whatever the case may be.
Gladly.
Oh my gosh, you got a list.
Yes, ma'am, I came with a list.
Okay.
Okay, so the first thing is to present yourself well in court. And by present yourself well, I don't mean to go all Monique on you guys and talk about people wearing pajamas and stuff in the airport and wearing your satin bonnets. But when you are going to child support court or any court proceeding whatsoever, you need to dress in such a manner that the court staff, the judge, the attorneys are all going to take you seriously. And I'll tell you this, when I go to any child support court, when I used to go, whether it be Dallas County, Tarrant County, if I didn't have anything on that hallway where the child support was happening, I would still walk down that hall first just to see what I could see, because I always know the people are going to give me something.
Wait, and before you move on from that, because again, with the comments and the feedback I read, people will make comments and say, nobody wears that to court. Nobody does that. Nobody says that. Like, you have seen it, right? You've seen someone with a bonnet on in court.
Girl, listen, I was walking down the hall to see what I could see, because the people always give me something.
It is pretty colorful. Yeah.
And there was a woman with SpongeBob pajama pants on that were too small, and she was wearing a camisole top that was white. She was not wearing a bra, and the girls were, you know, and she had a satin bonnet on, and I said, oh my.
Going to court.
And I would have slid my phone out and tried to sneak a picture, but she was much bigger than I was, and you know, I'm too old to fight. But but I mean, that's the kind of thing that I see. And there are some courts that will have a sign up that say no sagging pants, no revealing clothing, no shorts, no graphic t-shirts.
And people will show up like that anyway.
And people will show up like that anyway. If the judge sees you and you're not dressed appropriately, they will reset your case and they will not hear it that day in most cases, depending on what county you're in. But it's really important to dress in such a way that you are taken seriously, because with these child support proceedings, what happens a lot of time is the attorneys, they're human. The judge is human. They're making snap judgments about you by the way that you are presenting yourself in court. So your t-shirts, don't wear your t-shirt that has the middle finger sticking up on it. Don't wear your shirt that says F the police.
Or don't wear the socks. You have been accused of using marijuana and you wear socks that have marijuana leaves on them.
Or a t-shirt that has a marijuana leaf on it. Like,
I've seen that
why?
too.
Why? Make sure your body is covered. Okay, and that includes your pants. You know, make sure your pants are covering so you're not giving us a plumber shot. Make sure that the girls are covered and that your cheeks are covered. That's really important. So basically, like, you don't have to show up to court in your church lady clothes with your church hat, but a good rule of thumb is to dress like you're going to a job interview. If you're gonna wear jeans, make sure that your jeans look nice. There's no rips, there's no tears, there's no holes. If you're going to wear a t-shirt, make sure that it's plain, because I understand that not everybody has the money to go out and buy something specifically to wear for a court proceeding. So if you show up, make sure that whatever it is that you're wearing is neat, that it's clean, that you're not drawing unnecessary attention to yourself.
Got it.
So the other thing I would say is...
So this is takeaway number 2.
Yes, takeaway
right.
number 2, yes. Child support court is prime grounds for fighting, like WWE, yes.
And you know, it's funny because people will say, well, why don't they do this? Why don't you all do this? And I'm like, what we're doing with the show is a very much toned down version of what actually happens.
Extremely toned down. Like, you know, everybody on the show is incredibly well behaved compared to what actually does happen. And sometimes child support court can turn into a UFC match. So with that said, if you are in child support court, you have a case pending before the court, you have a new significant other, please do not bring them with you to court.
Please don't. Please don't.
Your new baby mama, your new girlfriend, your new wife. I mean, and like the spouse thing, that's kind of iffy, because I get that as a spouse that you want to show support to, you know, who you're married to. But if you do show up, be seen and not heard. You don't need to say anything unless you are directly being examined by an attorney or by a judge. And by examined, I mean somebody asks you something. You don't speak unless you're spoken to. Because I remember when I was a baby attorney, just starting out, like I represented a really young guy, and he had a new girlfriend, and his daughter's mother had a new boyfriend. He didn't like the boyfriend. And he had a problem with his daughter's mother's boyfriend being there. And he actually ran up on him. I'm like, yo, whoa.
In court?
In the hallway.
Oh, yeah.
It all happens in the hallway before your case is called. So to avoid that drama, to avoid anybody going to jail for other than child support contempt, leave the significant other at home. You want to make sure that the court is paying specific attention to your facts and your actual situation rather than the behavior of the people that you brought with you.
That's a good point.
So takeaway number 3, do not quit your job before you have your hearing.
Now that's a big one. That's a big one. That's one that I have seen over and over and over again, where people will be intentionally underemployed or intentionally unemployed, thinking that, oh, if I don't make that amount of money by the time we go to court, they're not going to order me to pay it. So, and that's wrong. So, and what I've also seen happen too is somebody will have a job that's making really good money, okay? Like say they're making $60,000, $70,000 a year. They go to child support court, they're ordered to pay $800 a month for one child. What they'll turn around and do then is quit their job to go to school. And then they'll say, okay, I need for you to call another hearing because I need my child support modified. And I tell them, okay, that's going to be X amount of dollars for me to do that. And it's, wait, did you not hear what I said? I quit my job. And I said, I'm about to quit my job working for you. So, so it's a thing where they didn't exactly think it through, but even though they quit that job that made good money because they said that they were going to go back to school to try to better themselves, the judges are not dumb. They look at the timing of when you decided to leave your job, and they will still impute your child support to what you were previously making and not what you are making now working part-time at the donut shop, especially when you went from being
an electrical engineer, for example, and then you decided you were going to go wait tables at Applebee's.
Right, right.
I'd also tell people, fourth takeaway,
Okay.
check your social media before you go to court. Let me say it again. Check your social media before you go to court.
And I'm glad that you said it again, because that's actually a big one. People have this belief that it's my page, I can say and do what I want to. To their point, I mean, that is true, right? Free country. You can say what you want to say. Well, I put an asterisk by, say what you want to say, because some things can actually get you sued.
Yes.
Especially if it's false, right?
Mm-hmm.
But social media, with all of these different social media platforms, people say and post and do a lot of things, not thinking, man, I could be placed on child support just based on me trying to stunt or something like that in court.
Yes. Okay. So, for example, because I am a social media sleuth, as soon as somebody comes to me and says, I'm only getting $200 a month, but he has way more money than that, or she has more money than that, what I'm going to go is I'm going to go look at your Facebook. I'm going to go look at your Instagram. And if I see you on there with your new Louis bag, or I see that you just took a Disney trip, or you're catching flights to Cancun, that means you have some money someplace. And my personal favorite is people who say that they don't have any money, or they're self-employed. They don't have, these are my taxes. I only bring home $20,000 a year. This is all I have. But then on social media, they'll have bands of money holding it up. Or they'll spread their money up their arm like this. And what I do is, if it's hundreds, I'm counting them: 100, 200, 300, 400. Excellent.
That's lawyering.
And I'm going to take a screenshot of that, and I'm going to present that as exhibit 1, 2, 3, 4, or however many. Like, this is what this person actually has. This is what they say that they have versus what they're presenting to the public, to their social circle, what they have. And the court can and will use that against you. The other thing is people who are business owners. This is specific to you guys. Whenever you are presenting your business online and you advertise it as a $1 million business, or the 40 under 40, and you're the number in the top 10 of entrepreneurs, and you're saying that you gross this amount of money in a year, and then you turn around and you tell the court that this is what my taxes say. I make $40,000 a year, but yet you just bought $1 million home. You're driving a Mercedes. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And we see it so much. And you would think that at some point people would say, okay, I'm not going to do that. You know how social media has evolved. You would think some of these different scenarios and things that people are telling the court would evolve as well. And they're literally recycling things that has happened over and over again that was unsuccessful. Yeah. So I'm glad that you pointed that out.
And I'll say this too, as far as like what's considered your net resources, because that's what the court determines your child support amount on. It's a percentage of your net resources. The Texas Family Code gives you a list of things that are considered to be a net resource. And one of those things are gifts and prizes. It's like in little bitty fine print at the end of the section of the Family Code that says gifts and prizes. So if you're getting on social media and you're putting your business out there, oh look, I've got this and this as a gift, or you're saying that someone is giving you so much money every month. Look what they did that to me, look what they gave me. Then in that case, the court can take that into your child support calculation and add it in as income.
That happened recently. It was a case out of, I can't remember, I want to say Tyler, Texas, but I may be mistaken on that one. That case just came out last year in 2021, where the mother, they were formerly married, husband and wife, the mother's parents were gifting her significant amounts of money. It was like, I believe, $100,000 a year. Her child support was based off of that. And I shared it with my viewers, and some people got it. They were like, well, yeah, that makes sense. That's significant. Well, then you had others saying, but it's a gift, it's a gift. And I said, well, it is a gift. However, it's a significant amount of a gift, and it is considered net resources. It's income.
It is income, and it's also specifically listed in the family code as something that can be used to calculate your child support.
Interesting.
So in all of the fantastic takeaways, the last thing I want to say, have I given 5 yet?
This will be number 5.
This will be number 5 because I have so many. I have a list. Okay, so bring your evidence to court. I realize that not everybody's going to be able to afford an attorney, okay? Not everybody has the money to drop like that, especially if you are really relying on the other parent to provide you with money and they're not paying. So there might be a situation where you have to show up and you have to represent yourself as best you know how. Okay, bring your evidence printed for the court. Like that is huge. A few years ago when I was sitting in Dallas County Court, I was watching a proceeding where a woman was saying to the judge, I know that he has money. There are all these women that give him money, and she basically accused him of being a pimp.
I mean, we've seen that a lot too. We've definitely seen it.
And it tickled my soul. And she said, look, I have the proof right here on my phone. And she goes to take her phone out and starts to scroll, and the judge held up her hand and she said, yeah, I don't want to see that. Here we do paper. I'm not going to look through your phone. You need to follow the procedures. You know, I'm not going to even entertain that. So that's valid evidence. The pictures of him like wearing his Rolex or whatever with women and all the things he's doing for other people, that's valid evidence, but it can't be introduced unless you bring it with you to court.
Right. And that's a good point. Something else I want to touch on too, because I explain this a lot to followers. When we are doing the shows and they're seeing the different scenarios, they'll say, well, why isn't anybody bringing evidence? And I'm quick to remind them testimonial evidence is also evidence, unless someone is bringing something in written form, like what you're saying, paper copies, you know, going against what it is that person is saying. I don't think people really realize how strong testimonial evidence is. Just briefly, how strong is testimonial evidence?
Well, I mean, the judge is going to take your word as your bond, unless you have evidence that will refute what that person is saying. So your own verbal testimony can refute what that person is saying. Yes, it can. But when it becomes a word versus word thing, what you and I both have done is we'll say, but look, this is why what I'm saying is actually the truth and why what they're saying is garbage.
Got it. That makes perfect sense. Well, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time, you know, for me, obviously, because you love me so much.
I do.
I just want to thank you for taking the time to sit, have a conversation with me, to educate our viewers. I'm pretty sure and confident in saying this, you have helped someone today. If it's not just by the takeaways, making sure, and let me go over those takeaways again, because these are solid, okay? Make sure you dress well. Leave other people at home, especially if it's going to be a situation where it could potentially cause havoc, all right? Don't quit your job before the hearing, or really don't quit your job at all, because then you'll have problems with arrears and all that kind of stuff later too, right? Check your social media. Matter of fact, scrub it, or if you want to say it to somebody directly. Don't post it on social media. And definitely bring your evidence to court, but know that testimonial evidence is also good evidence. But if you want to refute it, you make sure that you bring something that will suggest otherwise. Did I miss anything?
You know, there is one tie-in with presenting yourself well. Since COVID, everybody's been doing a lot of virtual hearings via Zoom. The whole present yourself well applies to when you're doing the Zoom hearing from your house too. Please don't lay in your bed with your satin bonnet on for your hearing. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk about that.
And you know, it's funny that you bring up the Zoom court, which totally slipped my mind. There was a guy on court one day Zoom, he was laying down, he had no shirt on, he was coughing. At some point, he got up to brush his teeth, and not one time did the judge say anything about it. And then at some point, the mother said, "Are you going to put a shirt on? Is he going to put a shirt on?" And so I guess, and everybody kind of chuckled about it, and he ended up saying he had COVID. He was really, really hot, having a fever and everything like that.
Then turn your camera off.
Not that that's an excuse. Well, in fairness to him, the judge told him to turn his camera on. They wanted to see his face. But I guess we've just gotten so laxed with the the virtual world with streaming live cases and everything like that, that people have forgotten that they're actually still in court, although they're not physically inside of a courtroom. So yeah, that's a good takeaway as well. We're going to make that takeaway number 6. Put on some clothes when you're on the Zoom hearing.
And take your bonnet off for the Zoom hearing.
Make sure. I did see someone in a bonnet on Zoom, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to go and take that bonnet off her head. And she presented well, but it was so distracting from what she was saying.
Don't smoke your cigarette on Zoom.
I've seen that too. Please do not smoke cigarettes on
or
Zoom,
drink
guys.
your beer on Zoom.
We've seen a lot. We literally could go all day long about the different things that we've seen in child support court. But thank you all for tuning in. As I said earlier, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Support Court with Judge Vonda B. I can be found, obviously, on all the socials, Judge Vonda B. Like this, share it. We'll talk again soon.
Be sure to like this video by clicking the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel.